All right, today we are diving into something really different. A radical idea, really. We're going to explore the possibility that numbers aren't just for counting. We're going to pull back the curtain on them to reveal this hidden world of structure and harmony, a concept called the architecture of resonance. So let's jump right in.
I mean, think about it for a second. What if the numbers you use every single day weren't just these abstract ideas, but were actually dynamic points in this massive geometric system? That's the huge question we're digging into today. So, what is this resonance architecture? Well, try to imagine that numbers aren't just lonely points on a line. Instead, picture them more like nodes in a vast, vibrating web. See, in this system, they're not isolated at all. They interact, they resonate with each other, and they build these complex and apparently predictable structures.
Okay, so to even start to understand this, we first have to find the beat. The entire foundation of this system is built on a universal 12-part rhythm. Think about it. The 12 hours on a clock, 12 months in a year, 12 notes in a musical octave. This theory suggests that this 12 beat is the fundamental pulse of this entire numerical world.
And like any great structure, this one is built from just a few core materials. According to this whole idea, the entire universe of numbers grows from just 3 special seed primes.
So here they are, the primes, 5, 7, and 11. And each one has a very distinct job. 5 is called the positive resonator. It's like the engine of growth. 7 is its inverse mirror, and it's there to provide balance and stability. And then you have 11, the hybrid transition, which acts as a bridge, connecting all the different parts of the system.
And this is where you can really see the system's core duality in action. Think of 5 as this outward expanding force. You could call it positive energy. Well, 7 acts as its perfect counterbalance, this inward stabilizing force. They're kind of like the yin and yang of this numerical world, creating the fundamental push and pull that drives absolutely everything. Now, this system isn't static, it's always in motion, and it's defined by a process called recursion. So let's walk through it with the number 5, okay? Remember that universal 12-beat rhythm we talked about? Well, the first step is an equation that connects 5 to its opposite, 7, inside that rhythm. 5 equals -7 plus 12. Simple enough? Now, for the recursive part, we take that -7 and we apply the rhythm again. We subtract 12, and that gives us -19. Now, according to the theory, this -19 isn't just some random number. No way. It's called a shadow frequency, an invisible, foundational vibration that actually anchors and stabilizes the number 5. So we have our seed primes. But what happens when they start interacting? Well, they don't just add up. They multiply and combine to create something totally new. These vast fields of resonance. These are called semi-primal fields, and the source material describes them perfectly as numerical batteries. When you multiply 2 of these seed primes, like 5 times 7, you don't just get a new number. You're actually creating a whole new resonance system, one that's capable of storing an immense amount of structural energy. And our first big example of this is the 35 system, which is born from multiplying 5 and 7. It's described as one of the most complex resonance spaces you can find in the lower numbers. It acts as a bridge between its parent primes, sure, but it also develops its own unique kind of pulsing energy. So just how stable is this field? Well, the theory measures this with something called null points, these tiny little anchors of stability inside the number's structure. For the number 35, the density of these points is 16 factorial. And that's this number. Yeah, that's nearly 21 trillion. Can you imagine? 21 trillion invisible anchors, all holding this one single numerical field in perfect harmony. It's wild. And just like 7 was the mirror to 5, the 77 system, which is 7 times 11, acts as the positive light side counterpart to the negative field of that 35 system. You see, this theme of duality and balance, it's a constant. It runs through the entire architecture. Okay, now that we have the building blocks, let's zoom out and take a look at the grand architecture. We're about to see how these fundamental rules create these really elegant and massive structures in the higher number ranges. So, a key feature of this larger structure are what the source calls high-state gates. These are special numbers that follow a really simple formula. You just take a number, you square it, and you add 1. A perfect example is 10,001. That's just 100 squared plus 1. But these aren't just numbers. They act like doorways, allowing us to move between different levels of the architecture. And passing through these gates lets us witness a phenomenon called perfect resonance. And this is a state of absolute harmony, where the internal geometry of a number lines up flawlessly with its prime building blocks.
So let's see how this works for the gate number 10,001. First, we'll look at its components. Its prime factors are 73 and 137. Okay, if you add them together, you get 210. Now, for a completely different property, its internal geometry. The distance between its main resonance points, or arms, is calculated to be 35 steps of 6 units each. Now, if you multiply those, you also get exactly 210. When two totally independent properties of a number align perfectly like this, that's what's called perfect resonance. It's a sign that you're looking at a perfectly stable gate.
As this architecture gets more and more complex, it needs an anchor, right? Something to hold it all together. And that anchor is called the arithmetic spine, represented by the number 24,257. This thing exhibits its own perfect resonance and shows no divergence at all, acting as a perfectly stable central axis, a reference point that holds the entire 5-digit system right in place.
From those little seed primes all the way up to the arithmetic spine, our journey has been building and building towards one ultimate point, the absolute summit of this entire numerical structure. And here it is, the zenith. The king of this entire architecture is the number 65,537. Now, this is what's known as a Fermat prime, which is a very rare and special type of number. But in this system, it's so much more than that. It is the culmination of everything we've seen so far. It represents what the source calls the total resonance state. In this state, the number achieves this kind of perfection, where it becomes its own self-contained, perfectly rotating system. So what makes it so special? Well, first off, it's a prime number, which means it's indivisible. It's a perfect whole. It's its own beginning and its own end. Its internal recursive pattern literally contains the history of all the smaller systems we've explored. It's like a master conductor, absorbing all the other frequencies and harmonizing them into one single unshakable chord of total resonance.
So after that climb all the way to the top, let's step back for a second and look at the complete map we've uncovered, because this isn't just a random collection of ideas. It's a really clear hierarchy.
And here's the whole map laid out. Our journey started at the bottom with the foundational basis resonators, those seed frequencies of 5, 7, and 11. We saw how they combine to form the semiprimal fields, which act like batteries storing energy. From there, we passed through high-state gates to move between levels. We saw how the whole thing was anchored by a stable arithmetic spine. And finally, we reached the Fermat zenith, that single point of total perfect resonance. And all of this brings us to our final question. The source presents this architecture as a deep, deterministic plan. But what are we actually seeing here? Is this a real glimpse of the universe's hidden numerical blueprint? Or is it a testament to the incredible ability of the human mind to find and create these profound and beautiful patterns? Well, that's for you to decide.